Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Victory Drive Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Johnson, and this week we are going to do something a little bit different. I can't even really say that it's that much different anymore because I've done quite a few of these, and I think you guys are kind of used to them by now, but it's just me today, just Jacob Johnson sitting here talking. But I thought it would be really cool to bring up some good news for a change, some rare two-way wins. So there's three instances, two cases and one just cool thing that might happen. I guess I can just spill the beans right now. We're going to be talking about the marijuana gun case that went up to the Supreme Court, and we're going to be talking about Trump talking when he stated that he's going to start making national carry reciprocity priority. And then we're going to do an update on Virginia and the assault weapons ban that they have enacted in the state of Virginia. So there's a few rare wins and something just to look forward to, hopefully. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I don't want to make this episode super long because I don't know how long you guys can last just listening to my voice for however long it goes. So I'm going to try to bear it down and just get to the meat and potatoes of this stuff really soon here. But first, we must talk about Grizzly Coolers. You guys got it. Grizzly Coolers, they are the title partner of Victory Drive, and they make grade A coolers right down the street in Decorah, Iowa. I know Rob Sand is also from Decorah, Iowa, and he's a Democrat running for governor of Iowa. But that's okay. That's okay. Decorah is still a very nice place, and they have a lot of good things going for them, like Grizzly Coolers headquarters right there in Decorah. And they make awesome coolers, American-made, Midwest-made, Iowa-made. They have just really great shit. And you guys have heard me talk about it ad nauseum in every episode before, but we're going to keep talking about them a little bit more. But they're just great stuff. So if you guys are in the mood for a new cooler, then check out grizzlycoolers.com. Use code WCB at checkout and save some coin. And it helps support the show and the entire network. So check them out. Also, we got Toro Tactical. If you guys are new here, Toro Tactical is also new here. It's a webinar, if you will, about awesome guns and gear and gadgets and gizmos. You go in there, you buy a seat at this webinar, and then one lucky seat number gets the item that they're talking about. You find the item that you are interested in, buy the seat at the webinar, and then someone's going to be virtually walking out of that webinar with a new gun or a new gadget or a new gizmo sent to them from Toro Tactical. So that's really cool. It fits right in with Victory Drive. I love seeing people get new guns and new gear and all that stuff. And if you can get it for super cheap, then that's a win-win across the board, baby. Win-win across the board, baby. Check out Toro Tactical. Use code WCB to save 10% off your entire cart. Your entire cart is 10% off if you use code WCB at checkout at torotactical.com. And also, we need to talk about Patreon. If you guys are interested in supporting the show directly with your hard-earned money, I would really appreciate that. And you can do that on patreon.com. Just search Victory Drive Podcast and you'll find me there. It's it's going to a good cause. It's helped support the podcast, and I just love seeing you guys. And there's a great community of people in there, and we got some big things coming. We're doing merch giveaways at least once a year over there at patreon.com. They just got their new Backbone shirts. The Backbone members got shirts and sent to them. So if you're not a member of the Backbone tier, then because I have two different tiers. The single shot tier is just basically a tip jar. It's just saying like, hey, you're doing a great job, Jake. Really appreciate you. Keep on, keep it on, keep up the good work, that kind of stuff. The Backbone members, they get extra stuff. So they get a little bit more. There's some Patreon exclusive videos on there. And then also they get access to the merch giveaway once a year, at least once a year. And they just got their new shirts. So they all enjoyed them. Everyone that I've talked to, they all liked them. So check it out if you're interested. There's also a YouTube channel. You can check it out. Check out Victory Drive Podcast on YouTube if you want to see my ugly mug talking to some other ugly mugs. So check out all that stuff if you want. And I'm also going to say this. This is an easy one. This is an easy ask. If you guys appreciate and like the content you're seeing, at minimum, you can go ahead and go on Spotify or Apple and leave a review. All right. So you can, I haven't talked about those for quite a while, but if you guys are ever so inclined to show some visible support that is free to do, you can go on there and rate it a 5-star, a 1 through 5, 1 being I suck ass and you hate me. 5 being it's great and you at least kind of appreciate what's going on here, and everything in between kind of goes from there. So if you guys want to leave a review, that would be greatly appreciated. I know on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a written review, and I do absolutely love going in there and reading those reviews. It's a lot of fun. So if you guys want to get on there, maybe I'll start doing review reads every once in a while. So if you want to do that, and maybe next week, maybe, I don't know, maybe sometime if I remember, I'll do a review read, and that would be really cool and awesome. And that would be fun. So yeah, there's that. I think that's pretty much about it. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get in the meat and potatoes of this episode and let you guys get on your merry way. And I hope you guys, oh shit, I just realized it's 4th of July weekend. Everyone have a great 4th of July. Stay safe out there. Don't blow off your fingers or your hands or your face with fireworks, but blow up some fireworks. Have a great time. Get drunk if you're legal, if you're of age, and don't drive afterwards, but have a lot of fun. Get out there and enjoy Independence Day. This is America 250, baby. America's turning 250 fucking years old. So get out there and party like it's 1776. Alrighty, here we are. So the first case we're going to talk about this week, I just felt like we needed to bring it up because it's a pretty big deal. Actually, it's a pretty rare win in the 2A world. It's the Supreme Court ruling with the United States versus Hemani. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Hemani. It's Hemani. So Supreme Court ruling. There was a case a while back. Basically, this guy, Ali Hemani, he's a Texas man who there's some weird stuff that goes along with this. I think he's Iranian, maybe, I don't know. I don't even want to say the country. He's a Middle Eastern born man, legally in America. He's an American citizen, a Texan, and he was enjoying a few puffs of marijuana while he was in Texas and having a good time. But during that time, he didn't realize that he got flagged for, I think, some suspected charge. They were doing an investigation on him and his family, and being where he's from, possible. I don't even want to say it because I don't know if it's 100% true. It was obviously false because nothing came of it. But they sent a team out there to investigate him and his family for some possible nefarious acts that did not actually come out to be true. So during the investigation, they realized, like, oh, this Ali, I'm just going to call him Ali because that's a lot easier to pronounce. Ali has a gun. He has some guns, but he also has a little bit of marijuana in his house. And in Texas, in the state of Texas, smoking marijuana recreationally is not legal. It is illegal to be smoking the ganj in the state of Texas. So Ollie's out there living his life as an American. He's like, I'm American now. I'm gonna buy a gun and maybe smoke some marijuana, smoke a little weed. take the edge off. Being here in America, maybe it's a little hot in Texas. You want to cool down with some marijuana. And they found a little bit of that, and then they found a little bit of guns. And the police were like, you know what, dude? You're an unlawful user. You can't be addicted to marijuana and also own guns. So they asked him, they pressed him on it. They're like, hey, do you smoke this marijuana? And he's like, sometimes. I got to be honest with the officer. Sometimes I got to smoke a little marijuana. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I have a stressful day and I want to sleep a little bit better at night. So I smoke a little marijuana. And then I go to sleep and I don't hurt nobody. And I don't do anything really wrong. I just smoke a little ganj. And the cop's like, you're an unlawful user, dude. According to 18 U.S. Code 922, whatever the fuck. It says here, like when you're doing your background check, I don't know if any of you guys have bought guns and you're doing your background check and you have to check all those boxes. And one of them is like a prohibited user. Are you a felon? Are you addicted to drugs? Are you this or that, right? So he obviously checked that stuff like, no, I'm not addicted to drugs. I'm not a drug addict. But in the meantime, he smokes a little weed. So they arrested him on drug and gun charges. And old Ali is like, you know what? Something doesn't smell right with this. I feel like I should be able to smoke a little bit of weed and still be able to own guns. This ain't right. I don't believe this to be right. So he decided to get a lawyer and fight it. So it went through the process, it went through all the courts, and it made it all the way up to the Supreme Court. So this year it made it up to the Supreme Court. They ruled on it, and this is another rare, very rare in today's standards decision. It was a 9-0 decision. 9-0. That means every single Supreme Court judge, liberal judge, conservative judge, came to a conclusion. They said, you know what? Just because a guy smokes a little bit of weed doesn't mean he shouldn't have guns. And this is coming from justices like, what's her name? Ketanji Brown, that she's not exactly pro-gun. She doesn't really rule in favor of the Second Amendment very often. She doesn't have a history of being pro-2A or being a constitutional judge at all, really. She doesn't even know what a fucking woman is, actually. She doesn't. She said that when she's being questioned by Congress, like, do you know what a woman is? She's like, I'm not a fucking biologist, dude. I don't know. I can't speak on it. I'm a lawyer judge person. I'm not a biologist. I can't tell you what a woman is. And so she doesn't even know what a fucking woman is. And even she decided, she's like, hey, you know what? Just because you smoke a little weed doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to have guns. So even she decided that, you know what, this is wrong, and Ali should be able to go home and sleep peacefully at night with a gun under his pillow if he wanted to, and also smoke a little bit of weed, because everyone knows that marijuana is not really an addictive substance. It's not going to cause you to be a completely erratic psychopath. It's not bath salts. It's not methamphetamine. It's not addictive. It's more like alcohol. And you can drink alcohol and also own guns. You know, you can't carry a gun into a bar. You can't go into an establishment that primarily sells alcohol and carry a gun and be drinking while carrying a gun. That is illegal. You have to be of sound mind when you have a gun on you. However, if you go home at night from work and you decide to have a couple beers, it's okay. You can have a couple beers at night. You can have a couple shots of whiskey, a couple glasses of whiskey if you want to, and you can still own guns. So they're looking at it as like, you know, this is more like alcohol, and you can ingest alcohol and also own guns. You should be able to smoke a little bit of weed and also own guns. So rare find, very rare in today's day and age. They agreed. They said, nope, this is not an incapacitating. Marijuana does not make you be demonstrably dangerous or incapacitated, or especially not like casual users. But there is a line, right? So they did in there, like Justice Gorsuch, he did put in there, you know, like the Supreme Court ruling, they did state that this is okay to do. But this is not a blanket, like, they're not making any new rights here. The court, they did emphasize that they're not creating a broad new right. It's not like other Supreme Court cases where it did like expand Second Amendment rights, or did expand certain other rights. It didn't expand any other rights. It's This is actually, they look back in history, and when they decided to make that, essentially that law where it's like if you're addicted to drugs or you're an addict, or you're known to be, a member of a criminal enterprise, then you're not supposed to be able to get guns, right? So if you're a fucking cracked out meth head and, sores all over your face and you can't even fucking stand straight, but somehow you decide to get $150 in your pocket and you're like, I'm going to go get a High Point from Academy Sports and go and carry that around the slums and shoot people or whatever it is. You can't be a fucking obvious like methamphetamine, heroin addict and also own guns. That's not okay in America. We don't like that, I guess. So it's not saying that you can be an addict and own guns. It's not saying that. It's just saying like if you're a recreational user of marijuana, then that's not addicted. That's not like being an addict. Just because you smoke a little weed at night doesn't mean you're an incapacitated addict or nothing like that. So they just reaffirmed essentially what was already in law and already in, in American law. They're just expanding on that, saying like, hey, there's like 40 something states that have legalized marijuana usage. So we don't think that if you use marijuana, you should be deprived of your Second Amendment rights. And I would have to agree. There are some people that, on the right that are like vehemently anti-marijuana, and that's fine. You can be that way if you want. But at the end of the day, we all have to agree that a guy smoking a little bit of weed, or maybe he has a medical marijuana license and he has some pains and stuff that he needs to take care of. Maybe he had cataract surgery. I don't fucking know, whatever it is. He has gonorrhea and his dick hurts. He's like, yeah, I need a little bit of weed to make my dick hurt a little bit less while I fight off this gonorrhea. Whatever it is, you can still own a gun and smoke a little bit of weed. So that's a rare find, very rare Supreme Court decision, 9-0 in favor of the Second Amendment, baby. That's a rare win. I really want to celebrate that and take a second and just appreciate the fact that the Supreme Court came together and ruled on a case appropriately. And everyone also knows that Texas is like very hard on drug use. It's one of the harshest states. And I'll be honest with you, Texas, honestly, kind of weird state in my opinion for certain things. Like they're like pro gun, I'm fucking Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Unless you're smoking weed and you own a gun. Or if you're, I guess carrying a gun in your car and it's not in a holster. Because I think there's a basketball player, can't remember his name, Kevin Harden or something like that. I can't. You guys, all you basketball guys out there probably are like cussing me out right now because I can't remember this dude's name. But very famous basketball player got hemmed up on gun charges in Texas because he was carrying a gun legally. He's legally able to own guns, but he was illegally transporting said firearm because it wasn't in a holster, which is, I think, ridiculous. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Texas is great for the most part, but also kind of weird in other parts. So anyways, Supreme Court came down and said, Texas, chill out. It's fine. You can smoke a little bit of weed and still own guns. So huge win. We got to celebrate it when we can. So moving on, we'll go ahead and get in the next subject. It's another light one. This one won't take too long. It's another light one. We will end with, actually, I lied. We'll end with that light one. We'll go into the heavy stuff. That was a little warm up. The weed one was a little bit of a warm up. Now we're going to get into Virginia, baby. Virginia, my favorite state to talk about because they're so fucking goofy right now. But we're going to talk a little bit more about them. So this is another one that is a little bit heavier, but not too crazy. So as many of you already know, I've talked about this before in a podcast similar to this one. Is another single shot type episode, just gun news stuff. But Virginia, they did end up passing almost the second that Virginia elected in Abigail Spanberger as governor. She came in hot and heavy and basically said, this is me paraphrasing here, but she basically said, I'll sign any gun law that comes across my desk. And she did. She passed sweeping gun control legislation across the board in Virginia, and you want to go back, I think it's actually titled like Virginia's gun bans or something like that. So you can go back and listen to that whole episode if you want to get the full backstory on this law. Otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and skip past it and get right into the meat and potatoes here. So as a lot of you know, there's an assault weapons ban in Virginia, and it went up the chain. Obviously, we knew this. We knew this was going to happen. There's organizations out there like Gun Owners of America and Firearms Policy Coalition. They vowed to attack this bill with their full ferocity and take it to the courts. So it went to the courts. So basically, the new provisions of the law, so it just a brief synopsis, I guess. It doesn't necessarily ban assault weapons, quote unquote, but it bans the import, sale, manufacture, and purchase and transfer of said assault firearms, and also other features like detachable magazines, pistol grips, folding stocks, etc. And also like large capacity ammunition, feeding devices, anything that can hold 15 more rounds. So basically 30 round mags, anything 16 plus round mags, no longer able to import, sale, manufacture, purchase, or transfer of those guns and devices. There was some grandfather laws and stuff put into place there as well, but basically they passed all that legislation, and it went up into the Lancaster County Circuit Court, and they issued a preliminary injunction. So what that means is they're basically blocking the enforcement of the assault weapons ban / magazine provisions and that kind of stuff. So an injunction was placed on the government of Virginia and that gun control bill. So basically it went up to this circuit court, and the judge is like, nah, we gotta make sure this is constitutional, guys. We gotta make sure this is constitutional. So the state of Virginia cannot enforce this law until it gets ruled on. And it has to go through because, matter of fact, Virginia's constitution does have written in there, I don't have the exact verbiage, but they do have an article in their state constitution saying that that Virginians do have a right to keep and bear arms. I think Virginia being one of the first states in America, they put that into their state constitution right away because they're like, hey, we're like one of the first states, so let's make sure this shit's on the books. You know what I'm saying? So they put that in the book. So they, so this could possibly, because other gun control legislation that has passed in other states, they did not have in their state constitution, they did not have an explicit right to bear arms. So those gun control bills would get passed through the governor or through the state legislators, and then the governor would sign into action, sign off on it, and it would be passed, and there wouldn't be a lot of injunctions unless it got all the way up into like appellate courts and all that other stuff. So basically, it'd be a lot easier for certain other states that didn't have that verbiage in their state constitutions, because it takes a lot for it to get all the way up through into the Supreme Court. But since Virginia does have a right to keep and bear arms in their state constitution, it is a lot easier to file an injunction on that bill because it says it right in their state constitution. So it went to a state court, the circuit court, and they're like, hey, you can't do this. It's against the rules. We have the right to keep and bear arms in our state constitution, so you can't do it. Injunction. So they're going to rule on it later. Attorney General Jay Jones, he's a bitch, basically. I think he was actually one of the guys that said he about his opponent, some nasty stuff. He's a nasty person, nasty, disgusting, despicable human being. But he called this decision disappointing and stated that the Commonwealth would appeal and seek to stay the injunction. So the Attorney General, Jay Jones, with his unlimited resources in the state of Virginia, he is going to do everything he can to stay that decision. So he's going to do everything he can to fight against it and get it to pass so they can go ahead and start hemming people up if they decide to import or buy quote-unquote assault weapons in the state of Virginia. And, he's obviously despicable because he said it's disappointing that he's going to appeal it over and over and over again until he gets his way. And he has unlimited resources. He's the Attorney General. He feeds off of the taxpayers of Virginia. And if they run out of money doing these cases, then they can just tax the people harder. And they're not afraid to do that. Obviously, like Spamberger, she's not afraid to tax the shit out of her people. She doesn't care. She doesn't care about about Virginians. And Attorney General Jay Jones doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give two shits about Virginians. So they have unlimited resources essentially. So they're going to go ahead and fight until they get their way, or it goes up to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court shoots it down. Probably not 9-0 this time. Probably won't be. It'd probably be closer to like, whatever it is, 7-3, 7-8-9, 7-8-9-10, no, be 6-3 maybe. I don't know. Whatever the number is. I'm fucking stupid, guys. I don't even know why some of you guys listen to me sometimes, but it's probably not going to be 9-0. Ketanji Brown's probably, like, since she doesn't know what a woman is, she probably doesn't understand the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, so she would probably vote for an assault weapons ban. And but the majority of the judges on the court, like, are, like our buddy Thomas, he's the man. He's the fucking GOAT, the GOAT of justices, the man, the myth, legend. But yeah, that's pretty much about it on that. So it got stayed. So people in Virginia, they can sleep peacefully for now. And until that gets put through, buy more guns. If you're in the state of Virginia, just go ahead and buy more guns and just kind of get plussed up on ammo and arms before it's too late. But even then, I do think that a bill like that would go all the way up to the Supreme Court and ultimately meet its end. But that does bring up another can of worms where these people and these governments, these state governments, like, for one, they hate you. And for two, they do have unlimited resources. Like organizations like Gun Owners of America and Firearms Policy Coalition, and even the NRA, they're not working on unlimited money. They are working on donations, from Americans, from gun owners like me and you. If you don't give those types of organizations, then this stuff does get passed pretty easily, and it doesn't get fought because the Supreme Court only sees cases that are getting fought. And if you live in a state like Illinois, then they don't get necessarily fought as hard, and it's just a little bit different situation over there. So if you don't fight these laws, and they will get passed, whether it's unconstitutional or not, whether it's anti-American or not, whether they, it doesn't matter unless we fight. We have to fight. We have to fight every chance we get. And there's organizations out there that are good. I would say FPC and GOA are probably two of the best. They're always out there fighting the good fight for our Second Amendment rights. So without them, then a lot of this stuff would just go through. And it's very unfortunate, but it is what it is. But luckily we have people or organizations like that to fight these battles for us. And we got to make our voices heard. And there's power in numbers. And unless we're out there, protesting at City Hall or protesting at the Capitol, and even if we protest at the Capitol and stuff like that, they're still not going to listen. They're going to be like, fuck you. We don't care what you think. Because they have, especially in places like Virginia and Illinois and California, like, it's ran by a certain type of people that are going to continually get elected into office no matter what. So they don't give a shit. They've been in power forever and they don't care. So they're going to keep doing it, whether you protest or not. But if you file a lawsuit and it goes up to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court shoots it down, that does make things it's a little bit of a craw in their cap. It's a little bit of a stab in the side, if you will, when the Supreme Court comes down and says you're being unconstitutional and we cannot enforce this and we cannot have bills like this passed in America. That's big. And I'll also say, like, kudos to Donald Trump. I've been a bit of a hater lately, but one good thing he did do is he put the right people on the Supreme Court during his first term. He put the right people in, and he got actual constitutionally minded justices on the court. And there's even justices on the court like Amy Coney Barrett, that she went against Trump and some of the things that he wanted to do when it came to like immigration laws and stuff like that. So she's not like a blind, like, right-wing justice. They're just constitutional. These are constitutional judges that look at the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, like, as they're written. But then you have people like Ketanji Brown that was put in by Joe Biden that are obviously, blatantly, openly anti-Constitution. They're anti-Constitution Bill of Rights. Like, they do not like the Bill of Rights. They do not like the Constitution, and they do not like us. They hate us, actually, I think. That's the only way to look at it at this point, is that they hate us because they're actively trying to take away our rights. So there's that. There is that. So be aware that this probably it might get stayed. It might the state might win for now, but hopefully it goes all the way to the Supreme Court and it gets shot down abruptly, and we have even more Supreme Court rulings like Bruin and like other ones that are pro 2A and just enhance and just solidify the Second Amendment in American legislation. Alrighty, next on the agenda we have Trump. Trump was at a rally. He was at I think it was a Mack Trucks facility rally. So, like, Mack Trucks, like the fucking big trucks, Mack Trucks. He's at the facility having a rallying the troops, if you will. Talking to some regular folks like you and me, some blue collar individuals, and he was out there and he was just talking shit like he always does. But he brought up a very interesting point. I don't know, and this is the thing with Trump, I don't know if he's just trying to get the reignite his base, the MAGA base. I don't know if he's just trying to say stuff to get everyone off of the Iran war, because let's face it, he hit some turbulence in his presidency. He hit some turbulence. He decided to go to war with Iran, not a real war, because it wasn't there's no war declared upon Iran from the Congress and stuff, so it wasn't really a war per se. We'll call it like an incursion. He decided to take a side quest through Iran, and we already did this once. Supposedly, we went through and bombed and blew up the nuclear facilities, and there's like, no more bombs, no more nukes. There's no more nukes to Iran. I bombed them. We blew them up. Operation Epic Fury, I believe it was called. We blew up the nukes. Blew it up. They're never going to get a nuke. I nuked their nuclear program, essentially, right? And then some time passed, and whether it was, whether he was motivated by money from a foreign government, or maybe he was influenced by just some of his backers or some of the people that were like Mark Levin, maybe those kinds of people, the Ted Cruz's of the world, maybe they decided to get into his ear and be like, hey, Operation Epic Fury was not enough. We need to go into Iran and decimate them. Take out their long-range ballistic capabilities, take out a bunch of this other shit, and bomb the ever-living fuck out of them in the name of Israel. Yes, I know. Whoa, wait, anti-Semite, fucking asshole. But there's no other way to look at it. There's no other way to look at. I don't think any logical person can look at Iran and be like, yeah, they're going to drop a nuke in Miami. And I don't think that's a thing that they had the capabilities to do. But they definitely had the capabilities. If they were to get a nuclear warhead, they would have been able to drop it in Israel, which is not good. That'd be a bad thing. Nobody wants Iran to have nukes. Nobody wants any quote-unquote radical Muslim country to have nukes. And I also have my own opinions on Muslims, period, and it might differ from a lot of people. It might surprise you guys, but that's not necessarily the topic of discussion here. But we do have to talk about this just a little bit. So Trump was in some hot water, went to war with Iran on behalf of Israel, essentially. Then Israel decided to go into Lebanon and do a bunch of other crazy shit. Doesn't matter. What matters is that he decided to maybe save face at this Mack Trucks facility rally. Maybe he's trying to just rouse up the people and get people back on his side, because he decided to bring up, unprompted, national concealed carry reciprocity again. And he said that, hey, would you guys like that? Would you guys like it if I did that? And everyone hoot and holler, like, yeah, fuck yeah, fuck it, that's what I'm fucking talking about, Trump. Hell yeah, brother. They're all excited. Like, yeah, national concealed carry reciprocity, that'd be badass. That'd be a huge win for America in the Second Amendment, for sure. So he talked about that. Sounds like he's going to make that a priority coming up here really soon. So that happened back on June 24th, I believe is when that rally was. And people were stoked about it. I'm stoked about it. Everyone should be stoked about it. But what would that do? I know I did an episode about HR 38 back in the day as well, which is the National Carry Reciprocity Bill, and talked about that ad nauseum and laid it all out there, what would happen. I think I talked about it with my brother Jordan, and we talked about that quite a bit, and I think it's a great thing. I think National Concealed Carry Reciprocity would be amazing. The way Bill HR 38 is laid out, because that bill is not dead. It's still in the process. It's just sitting there waiting for the right time, just waiting. It didn't get shot down. I think it's just stuck in committee, but it's just sitting there waiting to get passed. And Trump's like, hey, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. So maybe he's going to come back from his Iran thoughts and be like, yeah, let's focus on America. Let's get some of this stuff passed. Let's get it passed before midterms, hopefully. So then maybe Republicans or people on the right or pro-2A people will look at that and be like, hey, big win. That's amazing. Let's keep Republicans in office throughout the midterms and not vote in Democrats. That's probably more or less what he's thinking when he brought that up. And hopefully he decides that he wants to get passed before midterms, because that would be a huge win for everyone. But we'll just go through real quick what that actually means. Basically, National Carry Reciprocity in a nutshell would be, I live in the state of Iowa. Iowa is a constitutional carry state. So that means that since Iowa is a constitutional carry state, and this is where it gets a little bit hairy, maybe a little bit, maybe some people don't really like this part. But since I live in the state of Iowa, if this passes, I would be able to go into Illinois, carry a gun without a permit, because that is my state law. And if a cop pulls me over and say I'm speeding, say I'm going 73 and a 65, and they pull me over and like, do you have any guns in the vehicle? I say, yes, I do. I have a Glock 19 right here in my pocket, in my holster, on my body, or maybe it's in my door. Illinois, if this, like right now, the cop would be like, all right, exit the vehicle, you're under arrest, felony, you're a felon, you're a piece of shit, motherfucker, you're going to prison, felon. That's what they could do in the state of Illinois right now. But if this passes, since I was a constitutional carry state, I would be able to legally carry a gun without having a permit to carry. Now, we'll say this, say I live in a different state and I do have my permit to carry, then all I'd have to do is like, yes, I do have a gun on me. Here's my permit to carry from the state of Tennessee. Then Illinois or California would have to honor it and be like, all right, Charlie Mike, good sir, have a good day. I can't do anything about it because National Carry Reciprocity. So those are the two things. Going back to the constitutional carry stuff, that is one thing that really angered, or not really, I don't know if it angered them, but they put out a memo stating that they disapprove of this measure. What is the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, and the IACP, I believe it's like the International fucking Cop something or another. I can't remember what the fuck is that. Let me get my goddamn phone. I don't know, whatever it is. IACP, whoever they are. They came out and they put out a memorandum stating that they disapprove of it, essentially. International Association of Chiefs of Police. That's what the IACP stands for, if you give a shit. I don't. Basically, they're anti-gun cops, I feel like. So, that boils that egg. That boils that egg. So, the FOP and the IACP, they came out and said, we do not agree with this. It's going to hinder police officers. It's going to put officer safety in danger, and we won't be able to, like, essentially take someone's gun during a traffic investigation or a traffic stop investigation. But that's all bullshit, because Terry v. Ohio already explicitly states that cops are allowed to frisk said person if they're under investigation for an additional crime. If they have probable cause that they are doing something illegal, they are allowed to Terry frisk and check for weapons to ensure officer safety. That's a Supreme Court ruling. Like that's a law of the land. Cops can do that. Like in Iowa, it's a constitutional carry state, so I don't need a permit to carry in order to carry a gun on my body. Cops here, they are doing just fine. They're doing just fine. It's just these cowards in different states. They're like, oh, my panties are in a wad because now I can't do my job appropriately, and I just don't. Guns scare me, and people having rights and stuff, it scares me, and I don't want that. I don't want people to have rights and freedom. So I want to make sure that I'm able to take away their rights as an American if I want to, and I don't think that's right as an American citizen. I don't think that's correct. And I have family members, like you all know, my wife and brother are in law enforcement, and they figured out just fine. They are in no opposition to this National Carry Reciprocity Act that may or may not pass. I think at the end of the day, cops are here to serve and protect the citizens of the citizens. And it's also to ensure that our rights are intact the entire time. The Second Amendment is the only thing that in the Bill of Rights that they're allowed to just kind of take away whenever they willy-nilly kind of in certain states. So all this would do is enhance freedom. And it is on the cops. And like I said, I want my brother and my wife to be safe while they're out there patrolling and being cops. I do want that. I don't want them getting hurt. But there's already Terry v. Ohio. There's already other laws in place that do balance that act. They take rights into consideration, but they also take officer safety into consideration. And that's a big deal. That's already a thing. So that's null and void, in my opinion. And these fucking cowards need to get on board or get the fuck out of here, because they just need to train their cops better. Like, oh, no, I need to know the carry laws of all 50 states. Okay, how about this? How about this then? No gun laws. No more gun laws. Just take care of all gun laws. Now everyone can carry all the time. Expect every person to have a gun on them at all times. And to ensure officer safety, Terry v. Ohio, just Terry frisk them. If they have a gun and they're being investigated for other criminal acts, then you can take the gun for while the investigation is going on. And then if the investigation comes up inconclusive and you have to send them on their merry way, you give them their gun back. They're not a danger to society. They weren't doing anything illegal, so they deserve to have their gun taken, their gun given back during that traffic stop, during the investigation, and then they can go on their merry way. There's no reason why we can't do that across the entire nation. I think these people, the FOP and the IACP, are cowards, and they are weak, and they are just wanting to continue stepping on everybody's rights as citizens. They want cops to have more power to do whatever the fuck they want. I think we live in a pretty great country where we balance rights and safety very well. We want maximum freedom, but we also want a certain amount of safety. We need law enforcement. We need good cops out there doing good things and putting bad people behind bars. That's what we need. But people that are not a threat to society should not have their rights withheld from them for any reason. I have the right to self-defense, dude. Like, I have the right to carry. I have the right to bear arms in this motherfucker, dude. That's what makes America great. And people talk about Europe and all this other shit. And, America's the only country in the world that has gun laws like we have. Like, no shit, bitch. You're right. We are an anomaly. We are different than every other country. But guess what? That's what makes America great. That's what makes America different than every other country in this world. This country was built on Christian ethics, and Christian ethics do allow a lot of freedom. Because without God, without God-given rights, without God, we do not have rights as humans. That doesn't exist. These are imbued by our Creator. We have rights. We have human rights. That comes from God. That doesn't come from nothing. So these people don't have the right to take away our rights. So if the National Carry Reciprocity does happen, that would be a great thing. I don't think we need to take it as a win and just be like, yeah, we're good, yay. We need to stay on it because one thing the anti-gun politicians and the politicians in general are really good at, and just like advocates and stuff like that, is they're very good at being on the offense. And as conservatives, generally we're on the defense. We're like, hey, let bygones be bygones kind of thing. Like, let's not piss in each other's Cheerios. While other people are like, we're going to piss in everybody's Cheerios. Then nobody has good Cheerios. Nobody has milk in their Cheerios. Now we all have piss Cheerios. They're not afraid to piss in everybody's Cheerios. And that's why they win at so much of when it comes to this kind of stuff, because they're not afraid to attack. They're not afraid to do that. For some reason, conservatives are afraid to attack. Republicans are afraid when they have the power, when they have the power sticks. That is what it is. Like when you're in government, you have power. Like we vote these people in to rule us. I know we don't like to use that word rule in America, but that's what they do. They rule over us. They do. We don't like kings and monarchs and shit like that. But when we vote these people into office, they do become our rulers. And certain people of certain political persuasions, they are not afraid to wield that power to meet whatever needs they want met. For some reason, Republicans have an issue wielding power. They're afraid to attack to get more. They want to conserve. They want to like leave it the way it is. That means like if one side gets what they want, then Republicans are kind of like, okay, let's just slow it down a little bit. Let's just slow it down. Like, no, let's not slow it down. Let's wind this shit back. Let's wind this back. Let's go back in time, dude. This has not been working. This has not been working. Let's go back in time. Let's fix society. Let's fix these things. Guns have been imbued in American life for 250 years. So let's roll it back. Let's attack, and get some of our rights back while we have the chance. And this is a step in the right direction. Is it the only step is it the last step? No, because I think we need to go for more. I think we need to have constitutional carry across the entire country. I think no more permits are needed. I think if you're dangerous to society, then you shouldn't be in society. If you're too dangerous to have guns, you're too dangerous to have your rights as Americans, then why are you even here? Why are you in America? We should just deport you. I don't know. Keep you in prison for the rest of your life. I don't know. If you're too much of a threat to society, then obviously prison didn't fix you. You didn't learn from your mistakes. So why are you even in society at all? That's kind of where my mindset's at. I think we need to roll this shit back to where it was so we can maximize our freedom. We need to crack down on illegal immigration. We need to keep American society the way it's been for 250 years. We need to roll back some of this bullshit that's been pushed through. We can't have our country get taken over by third worlders. This country was built on Christians under Christian ethics. And if we have a bunch of people from other countries just coming in here and doing whatever the hell they want, it's going to get ugly fast. Just look at Minnesota. It's disgusting. So we need to fix this shit, and it starts here. Right now, we need to not be afraid to wield power when we have the power. We need to not be afraid to take our rights back when we can. So that's pretty much about that. That's the end of my soapbox here. Yeah, so good things in the news today. Nothing too crazy to report, but some big wins. And we can't get complacent. We got to keep attacking and getting what we, just kind of roll it back a little bit and keep America free. And, and that means that we might have to piss some people off a little bit. It is what it is. Get with the program and get the fuck out of here. That's the end of that. So with all that said, I hope you guys enjoy this episode and you enjoy your 4th of July weekend. I kind of want to get this stuff out because it's a good thing, and it's a good thing to talk about. We have some big wins to celebrate our Independence Day, our 250-year birthday as a country, free of the redcoats, free of the king, free to make our own decisions and live our own lives. And that's the beauty of America. And we need to keep that beauty. And so, yeah, with that said, guys, hope you have a great weekend and a great time. Spend it with your family. Go have fun, shoot some fireworks, have some drinks, have a good time, but do it all safely. We need you out there. We need you to wake up the next morning and get back to work. There's social security checks out there that are waiting to get cashed. And if we don't have enough workers, then the boomers can't get their social security. So make sure you're out there being safe, get to work on Monday, and have a good time. All right. Love you guys. Have a great weekend.